I'm Steve Mortensen, and with me today is John Sullivan, the co-director and executive producer of 2016 Obama's America, which is on its way to becoming the second most commercially successful documentary of all time. John, thank you for joining me.
Hey, thank you for having me on, Steve.
You know, your background is in value-driven films. What was it about this project that grabbed your attention?
Well, I think the first thing was working with Dinesh D'Souza. I've known Dinesh for a few years. We were actually starting to work on another project prior to his book, The Roots of Obama's Rage, coming out, which became a New York Times bestseller on the bestseller list. And so working with Dinesh was the first thing, and then once I read the book, I thought it would just make a very interesting documentary project, and we started to work on it.
You know, with the book, and I understand there's a second book, Obama's America, that also had some related information. With all that material in the books, was there other material you wanted to use in the film but ultimately had to leave out? And
yeah, there was. Actually, there's quite a bit. You know, when you're dealing with two dense, well-researched books like Dinesh has, both in The Roots of Obama's Rage and his #1 New York Times bestseller, Obama's America, you know, there's so much information in there to go through. One of the things we didn't include in the film was kind of the hypocracies that you see within President Obama's life, particularly a number of promises he makes to various things like a school in Kogelo, Kenya, which is where his father is from. He's promised to support that school on multiple occasions and has never done that. And a simple gift of $1,000 would change, you know, probably 50 to 60 kids' lives forever. And he's promised to support that school and has never done that. There's also his brother, George Obama, who lives in abject poverty, yet the president has done nothing to kind of help him. Or his aunt, who also lives in poverty in Kenya, and again, he does nothing to kind of help them. So there was kind of a whole section on President Obama the hypocrite, but unfortunately we just didn't have enough time in the movie.
Well, are there any other issues that you thought from the book would be useful to kind of introduce into the social dialogue right now as people are seeing the film and making various observations and comments about it?
Well, I think one of the big ones would have been just the economy. You know, when President Obama came into office, he said he was going to slash the deficit in half. That's just not been the case on that. Our national debt itself has risen by another $5 trillion. We're now above $16 trillion, and our GDP's kind of still hovering about $15.89 trillion, if I remember right. And so from that standpoint, I think the economy would have been one. But you know, you're given 90 minutes in a movie to kind of have your narrative flow and make the story. So you've got to be really ruthless in the editing process to figure out what's going to be in and what's going to be out. And you know, there's a lot of stuff we would have loved to have put in that just didn't quite make the cut.
Well, you know, other than the tremendous groundswell of interest in 2016, what are some of the most surprising things that you've observed since its release?
You know, I think there's two things. I think one is seeing the audience reactions to it. You know, that's been very rewarding to see, and it's been across the political spectrum. You know, this movie's kind of being painted from the right, or Michael Moore from the right, or, you know, Dinesh, just the conservative documentarian. But, you know, we're getting people from all political persuasions coming and seeing the film, and our fastest feedback is on Facebook. And, you know, being that we're on a social media platform here now with Humanity, you know, it's amazing to see the responses on Facebook, and people who had voted for President Obama in 2008 saw the film, feel they're more informed, and kind of are questioning if they would vote again that way. But you know, it's amazing to see people's reaction coming out of this film, and part of it is there's anger that they didn't know this information before, that this has never been out there. And it's readily available. I mean, it's on his from his book Dreams from My Father. We use quite a bit of that book throughout the movie in his own voice. So people are very concerned that they've never heard this before. And the second reaction that we're getting is kind of almost a media blackout. Like, you know, the media doesn't want to talk about this. They'll talk about the box office success and all that, but they won't engage the movie head on. They won't book Dinesh on the shows, any of that. So those have been kind of the two different reactions we've seen, is one from the audiences and then one from the media.
Well, John, I hope that the pleasant surprises keep on coming.